Hello there. Let's see where the story goes today. Enjoy! Chapter 7. This venerable one likes wontons. The sun blazed down from above. The vast grounds of Shizun Peak stretched out for 100 miles. As a newcomer among the cultivation sects, Shizun Peak differed from the famed sects of the upper cultivation realm. Take, for example, the illustrious Lingyi Rufeng sect. Their main hall was named Six Virtues Hall to encourage their disciples to adhere to the virtues of wisdom, integrity, holiness, righteousness, benevolence, and loyalty. The residential dwelling where disciples stayed was called Six Conducts Gate, reminding their disciples of the importance of filial piety to one's parents, camaraderie with one's peers, harmony with one's neighbors, respect for one's spouse, duty to society, and compassion for the masses. The study area was named Six Arts Platform, meaning that disciples were expected to be masters of ritual, music, archery, writing, calligraphy, and arithmetic. In short, endless elegance. On the other hand, Shizun Peak had come from humble origins, and its names were hard to explain, to say the least. Loyalty Hall and the platform of sin and virtue were acceptable. However, perhaps because Mo-Ran's father and uncle weren't exactly scholars and had been unable to choke out that many decent names, after a few they'd given up and started goofing around, assigning Shoya-esque names left and right. Thus, many names on Shizun Peak had been plagiarized from the underworld. For example, the self-reflection room was called Yanluo Hall. The bridge connecting the recess and study areas was called Naihei Bridge. 8, the dining hall was called Mengpo Hall. 9, and the training field was called the Mountain of Daggers and Sea of Flames. Meanwhile, the forbidden area in the backwoods was called the Ghost Zone. So on and so forth. At least these were relatively okay. The more out-of-the-way areas had particularly forthright names like this is a mountain, this is water, and this is a hole, as well as the famed ah and wah cliffs. The elders' quarters naturally hadn't escaped unscathed, and each had their own nicknames. And also, naturally, Chu Wanning was no exception. He liked peace and quiet and didn't care to live near others. His residence was located at the southern summit of Shizun Peak, hidden in a grove of cultivated bamboo that resembled an ocean of green jade. Before the main pavilion there lay a pond, which was covered in red lotuses that, thanks to an abundance of spiritual energy, bloomed as resplendently as crimson clouds throughout the seasons. The disciples secretly called this elegant and scenic locale Red Lotus Hell. When Mo-Ran thought about it, he couldn't help but snicker. Chu Wanning wore a frightful, sour face, day in and day out. To the disciples, catching sight of him was like catching sight of a demon. And what should the home of demons be called if not hell? The hell are you giggling about? Shu Meng demanded, interrupting his daydream. Hurry and finish your breakfast. I have to take you to the platform of sin and virtue after this. Did you forget that Shizun is going to discipline you in front of everyone today? Mo-Ran sighed and gingerly touched the lash mark on his face. Hiss. Ow. Serves you right, he sighed. I wonder if Tian Wen has been fixed yet. If not, please don't interrogate me with it again. Who knows what other nonsense I might spout. Faced with Mo-Ran's genuine concerns, Shui Meng's face flushed with anger. If you dare to be improper toward Shizun in public, I'll rip your tongue out, he threatened. Mo-Ran covered his face with one hand and waved the other. No need, no need, he croaked faintly. If Shizun ties me up with that willow vine again, I'll just end myself on the spot to prove my innocence. Early in the morning, as the appointed time arrived, Mo-Ran was brought out onto the platform of sin and virtue in accordance with custom. He cast his gaze out. Below him, a sea of people dressed in dark blue stood as far as the eye could see. The disciples of Shizun Peak all wore the sect uniform, light armor so blue as to be merely black, a lion's head belt, wrist guards, and clothing trimmed in sparkling silver. The sun rose from the east, illuminating an ocean of gleaming armor below the platform of sin and virtue. Mo-Ran knelt on the high platform, listening to the Jilu elder read the lengthy indictment. The Yuheng elder's disciple, Mo Weiyu, has disregarded our commandments, ignored our teachings, disrespected sect mandates, and abandoned morality, violating the 4th, 9th, and 15th rules. His punishment will be to receive 80 strikes, to copy the sect rules 100 times, and to reflect in confinement for 1 month. Mo Weiyu, have you anything to say in your defense? Mo Ran glanced at the white silhouette in the distance. That elder was the only person in the entirety of Shizun Peak who wasn't required to wear the standard silver-trimmed blue uniform. Chu Wanning wore snow-white satin with an outer drape of cloud-patterned silver silk. It was as if he was swathed in clear frost from the highest of the heavens. But the person himself seemed more frigid than either white snow or clear frost. He sat placidly, too far away from Mo Ran to see his expression, but Mo Ran knew without needing to see that this person was probably entirely unperturbed. Inhaling deeply, Mo Ran replied, "I have nothing to say in my defense." Next, in accordance with custom, the Jilu elder spoke to the disciples gathered below. If anyone disagrees with this judgment or has any appeals to make, you may now speak. The disciples fidgeted, glancing at one another. This, put politely, this was called being strict and impartial. But frankly, it was called being a cold-blooded demon. Cold-blooded demon Chu Wanning wore an air of indifference, sitting in his seat with his chin propped up in one hand. Suddenly, someone shouted using an amplification technique. "Yu Hung Elder, this disciple would like to plead for leniency on behalf of Mo Shidi." Is that so? The disciple clearly thought that, even if Mo Ran had made a blunder, since he was the sect leader's nephew, his prospects were still bright and promising. Thus he decided to seize the opportunity to curry favor with Mo Ran and started to spout nonsense. Although Mo Shidi has erred, he is cordial with his fellow disciples and shows compassion to the small and weak in his everyday conduct. Will the Yu Hung elder please grant leniency in view of his kind nature? This fellow wasn't the only one hoping to curry favor with Mo Shidi. More and more people began to speak on Mo Ran's behalf, on grounds fantastic and varied. Even Mo Ran grew embarrassed listening to them. When had he ever been pure and innocent, broad-minded and open? Was this assembly for punishment or commendation? Yahung Elder, Mo Shidi once helped me defeat demons and slay vicious beasts. I would like to request recognition for Mo Shidi's merits, for his merits to undo his demerits, and request that the elder lessen his punishment. Yuhang Elder, when I experienced chi deviation, it was Mo Shidi who helped me dispel my inner demons. I believe Mo Shidi only erred due to a brief lapse in judgment, and I request that the elder lighten Shidi's punishment. Yuhang Elder, Mo Shidi once bestowed upon me an elixir to save my mother. He is virtuous and benevolent by nature. Elder, please be lenient. The final person's pretext had been taken by the person before him, and he was left at a loss for words. Chu Wanning's frosty gaze swept toward him, and he rambled out in a panic. Yuhang Elder, Mo Shidi once helped me dual cultivate. Pfft. Someone failed to hold in their laughter. The last disciple blushed up to his ears and withdrew in embarrassment. Yuhang, calm down, said the Jilu elder, who, seeing this turn of events, hurriedly tried to soothe him. I have never seen a person this shameless, Chu Wanning said starkly. Whose disciple is this? What is his name? The Jielu elder hesitated slightly, then forced himself to quietly respond. My disciple, Yao Lian. Chu Wanning raised his eyebrows. Your disciple? Save face? This was acutely awkward for the Jielu elder, whose old face turned bright red as he tried to change the topic. He's got a decent singing voice. Good to keep around when receiving offerings. Chu Wanning humphed and turned away, not wanting to waste any more breath on the shameless Jilu elder. There were thousands of people in Shizun Peak. A couple of sycophants here and there was nothing out of the ordinary. As Mo Ran took in the persistent conviction of his sect brothers, even he almost began to believe them. Impressive. Truly impressive. As it turned out, he wasn't the only one in this sect adept at spewing lies in broad daylight. This place was brimming with talented people. After countless pleas of Yahang Elder, please be merciful, Chu Wanning finally spoke, continuing, you plead on behalf of Mo Weiyu. He paused before, very well. Come here. Unsure of what to expect, the supplicants went up to him with fear and trepidation. A golden light flashed in Chu Wanning's hand, and Tianwen appeared as commanded. With a whoosh, it wrapped the dozen-some disciples in a bundle and bound them firmly in place. Not this again! Mo Ran was about to lose all hope. The mere sight of Tianwen made his legs go weak. Where the hell had Chu Wanning even obtained that freakish weapon? It was a good thing Chu Wanning had never taken a wife in their previous lifetime. Pity the woman stuck with him. If she didn't get whipped to death, she'd probably be interrogated to the same end. Chu Wanning's gaze was full of scorn as he singled out one disciple in the group. Mo Ran helped you defeat demons? The disciple had no chance against Tianwen's torment and instantly howled, "No! No!" He moved on to the next. Mo Ran helped you break out of a chi deviation? Ah! Never! Never! Mo Ran gave you an elixir? Ah! Help! No! No! I made it up! I made it up! Chu Wanning loosened the binding, but immediately after, he raised his hand in a ruthless brandish. Sparks flew as Tianwen lashed out to land brutally against the backs of those lying disciples. Shrieks instantly rang out, and blood splattered everywhere. Chu Wanning's brow drew down in a frown as he berated them. You yelling for? Kneel! Discipline attendant. What are present? Deliver the punishment. Understood. Ultimately, not only did these people not manage to gain favor, they also earned 10 strikes each for violating the mandate against deception. Plus, a free bonus slash from the Yu Hung Elder. Nightfall found Mo Ran sprawled out on his bed. Even though medicinal ointment has been applied to his back, it was still covered in crisscrossing lashes, and it was impossible to even turn over. He let out a few sniffles, eyes watering from the pain. With his cute looks, this whimpering made him seem like a fluffy kitten that had been woefully beaten. Unfortunately, his inner thoughts were nothing like those of a kitten. He gripped the blanket and bit into the bedsheets, imagining that bastard Chu Wanning in their place. He bit, stomped, kicked, ripped. His only comfort was that Shi Mei had come to visit him with a bowl of handmade wontons. Under Shi Mei's gentle, compassionate gaze, Mo Ran's tears fell even more fiercely. He didn't care for sayings like, "Men don't cry." He loved to act cute and spoiled in front of the person he liked. Does it hurt too much? Are you able to sit up? Shi Mei sat at the edge of his bed and let out a sigh. Shizun, His hand was far too heavy. Look at your wounds. Some of them are even still bleeding. Warmth rose in Mo Ran's chest as he listened to these sympathetic words. He looked up with teary eyes and batted his lashes. Knowing Shi Mei cares for me so much, I don't feel the pain anymore. Oh, look at the state of you. How can it not hurt? You should be more than familiar with Shizun's temperament. No more mistakes like that in the future, okay? Shi Mei looked at him with equal parts helplessness and sympathy, his expressive eyes gleaming in the candlelight like warm spring waters. Mo Ran's heart skipped a beat. Obediently. I swear, it won't happen again, he answered. Who can even take your vows seriously anymore? Shi Mei scolded. But the wontons are getting cold. Can you get up? Just stay put if not, was smiling. I'll feed you. Mo Ran was already halfway up, but at these words, he instantly collapsed back down. In both this lifetime and the last, Shi Mei's wontons were Mo Ran's favorite dish. With wrappers thin as clouds and fillings tender as cream, every bite of the satisfyingly plump, soft, and savory dumplings practically melted in his mouth, leaving behind a delectable aftertaste. Most of all, he loved the soup, simmered to a rich, milky consistency, sprinkled with bits of chopped green scallion and tender wisps of yellow eggs, and finally a spoonful of chili oil pepper, stir-fried in garlic paste which warmed you from the inside out as you ate it. Shi Mei fed him attentively, spoonful by spoonful. I didn't add any chili oil today. Your injuries are too severe, and spicy food isn't good when you're recovering. Settle for the broth, okay? Mo Ran gazed at him, smiling, unable and unwilling to look away. You make is delicious, spicy or not. Everything flatterer. Shi Mei smiled back and picked out the poached egg in the soup. Here's a runny egg as a reward. I know you like those. Mo Ran laughed mischievously, a silly tuft of hair curling up from his head like a blooming flower. Shi Mei. Yes? Nothing. Just felt like saying your name. Shi Mei was quiet. The hair tuft swayed back and forth. She may. She may suppressed a laugh. Just saying it again? Mm-hmm. Saying your name makes me happy. She may hesitated for a moment, then tenderly felt his forehead. Do you have a fever? Silly child. Mo Ran chuckled and rolled over halfway to peek at him sideways, eyes brightly shining like they were full of stars. I wish I could eat Shime's wontons every day. He meant every word. After Shime's death, Mo Ran had longed to taste his handmade wontons again, but that flavor had disappeared forever. At that time, Chu Wanning hadn't yet completely broken off relations with him. Perhaps due to a guilty conscience, after seeing the way Mo Ran remain kneeling in front of Shime's coffin in a stupor, Chu Wanning had quietly gone to the kitchen. There, he'd kneaded dough, chopped up the filling, and carefully folded a few wontons. However, Mo Ran had caught him before he could finish. Mo Ran, who had just lost his true love, had been unable to tolerate this. Chu Wanning's actions had seemed to him like a mockery, a clumsy imitation, a deliberate stab. Shime was dead. Chu Wanning could have saved him, but he had refused to help. Now he dared to try to make Mo Ran wontons in place of Shime. Had he thought that would make Mo Ran happy? Mo Ran had rushed into the kitchen and knocked everything over. Plump white wontons had rolled all across the floor. He'd roared at Chu Wanning. Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you have any right to use the things he used? To make the food he made? Shime is dead. Are you happy now? Or do you have to hound all your disciples to death or madness before you're satisfied? Chu Wanning. There's no one left in this world who could make those wontons ever again. No matter how much you imitate him, you'll never even come close. Eating this bowl of wontons now, Mo Ran was both overjoyed and greatly moved. He kept smiling as he ate, but his eyes grew slightly damp. Thankfully, the candlelight was dim, and Shime couldn't clearly see the minute details of his expression. Shime, said Mo Ran. Thank you. Shime paused for a second, then smiled kindly. Isn't it just a bowl of wontons? There's no need to be so formal. If you like them, I'll make them for you more often. Mo Ran wanted to say, the thanks isn't just for the wontons. Thank you also, in both this lifetime and the last, for being the only person to never look down on me, who didn't pay any mind to my origins, who didn't care about the 14 years I spent struggling to survive by any means, fair or foul. Thank you also, because if not for the fact that I remembered you at that moment when I was first reborn, I probably would have killed Rongju, repeated a grave mistake, and walked the same bitter path as before. Thankfully, I was reborn before your death. I will definitely protect you this time. If anything happens to you, even if that cold-blooded demon Chu Wanning won't save you, I will. But there was no way he could say any of this. In the end, Mo Ran finished the soup without saying anything. He left not even a sliver of chopped scallions. He licked his lips as if he wanted more, his dimples distinct and charming, looking cute as a fuzzy kitten. Can I have more? Tomorrow? Shime didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't you want to try something else? Won't you get tired of them? I'll never get tired of your wontons as long as you don't get tired of me. Shime laughed, shaking his head. I'm not sure how much flour is left. If there isn't enough flour for wontons, how about eggs and sweet soup instead? I remember you liked that one too. Okie dokie. As long as you make it, anything is fine. Mo Ran was elated. So happy he could have rolled around hugging his quilt. Look how tender and caring Shime is. Chu Wanning, go ahead and whip me if you like. I've got a beauty to take care of me when I'm laid out in bed. Hehehe. Just thinking about that Shizun of his lit a flame of anger in the midst of his tender sentiments. Mo Ran dug resentfully into the crack between the bed and the headboard once again, cursing internally. Yahung of the night sky? Beidou immortal? What bullshit! Chu Wanning. In this lifetime, just you wait and see. It's the end of chapter. Yeah, we too will wait and see. I don't have a good or bad feeling about Shime. Let's see. See you with next chapter. Bye!